Welcome to Yenko Africa. My name is Ama. I want to thank you for tuning in on today. And today I want to talk to you about two types of businesses that you do not want to start on the continent. I would suggest in any African country when you return, okay? Or if you're looking to establish a business on the continent or do small scale businesses on the continent. And you can invest in these type businesses if it's ran by locals. And of course, let me just say you're free to do whatever you desire to do, but within the law. But I would suggest that you avoid these two types of businesses. Okay, so one, I'm going to show you a brief video in just a moment, but first I want to start out with this one, which is the first type of business that I would suggest that a returning diasporan, someone who's looking to repatriate, or someone who's just looking to do business on the continent, that you avoid this first business, which is and not this particular product in particular. Here you see a lady in the market, and she's selling local goods such as peppers, tomatoes. Well, it looks like she's selling tomatoes, peppers, and just things that are used in everyday cooking, okay, on the continent. And the reason I would suggest that you avoid these types of businesses in the market, okay, now there are other opportunities outside of the market and specialization in, say, selling goods and such, which I'll share that with our Patreon members, things that I think that you can do that will not compete with the locals. And that's the reason why I think you should not sell in the market. For those of us coming and returning to the continent from the diaspora, of course these businesses will be easier for us to start because it would probably require what we would consider little capital, okay? And so we would just invest in getting some of the supplies, so on and so forth, and then either sell them ourselves or get someone to sell it in the market. But I would suggest avoiding these types of businesses because if you have been listening to the news and such, you see that there are a lot of tension in the market when you bring someone who, say, for example, you're in Ghana and you bring in Nigerians, okay? I'm not sure if you're aware, but there have been quite a few incidents where Ghanaians have attacked Nigerians in the marketplace, okay? I personally think it's out of jealousy. Because the Nigerians are very successful at what they're doing, and Ghanaians, however, feel that it's because they're getting a better rate on supplies and goods, not just on the food, but say paint supplies, foreign imported supplies that may be sold in some of the shops, because you'll see the market sellers, but then you'll also see these shops. Some of them are concrete shops, some of them are little kiosks made out of metal shops within the marketplaces. And there have been quite a few attacks on Nigerians by Ghanaians. Like I said, I really do think it's because Nigerians, let's just face it, Nigerians are very industrious. Wherever they are, they really do a great job at business. But I would avoid it because there are, like I stated, there's lots of tensions among merchants in the marketplaces. And so you don't want to be seen as a person who's coming in and competing with the locals selling local goods. Now, if you are selling something that is not being sold in the market, that is say a foreign good, but it's not one that's going to compete with the local markets, then that's something that you may want to do some more research on and find out about and see if it's truly unique. And you may want to move that business outside of the market. Don't even set it up in the marketplace, but set it up in another location where people can come to you, okay? That's probably going to be the safest, the best thing to do, and I think it's going to leave a good repatriation footprint, okay? I think that we have to be very careful that we're not becoming the new colonizers and coming on the continent and really just forming some sort of economic colonization, okay? We have to really be mindful of that. All right, so the second type of business I want to talk to you about is similar, but it deals with businesses that deal with foreign goods, okay? And I'm going to show you this video that was taken of the customs agents that seized goods. All right, it's kind of hilarious, and I'll tell you why, because they seized imported stew, something that Africans are known for. The Chinese were importing it. Okay, so let's just look at this for a second. Hold on one moment.
these are carefully concealed inside. So this is part of it. I will advise that Nigerians must shun xenocentrism and embrace ethnocentrism. This presents danger not only to public health but to the economy and, of course, the employment of our teeming youth.
Okay, so you see here that they're speaking about the stew that was imported illegally from China into Africa. African stew being brought in from China. So the Chinese are making African stew and importing it into Africa. Okay, not only are they doing that, but they're smuggling it, and then they're selling African stew to Africans. Okay, and he's saying that one thing that he said is that Africans, first of all, should embrace ethnocentrism and shun xenocentrism. Well, I don't think that's the problem with Africans when it comes to people like the Chinese. They seem to let them get a slide, right? Like there's a video that I have of a Chinese guy that's in the market selling corn, roasted corn in Kenya. Okay, he's in the market roasting corn, okay, taking jobs away, being competition to the ladies who are already there selling corn, right? Because people are fascinated with this Chinese man who's roasting corn in an African market, you see? And so he's telling them that they should embrace ethnocentrism, meaning that they should welcome people of other ethnicities and shun xenocentrism. I don't think that's the case when it comes to certain ethnicities. It's only when it comes to our own that there seems to be a problem, okay? When it comes to our fellow Africans, okay? Be it those born on the continent, those who are returning from the diaspora, that's when there is a problem. But when it comes to these Chinese who are coming there smuggling stew to sell African stew to Africans, that's ridiculous. It's just unbelievable. Okay, and so when you see them laughing there, they're not laughing because they caught the guy smuggling stew. They're laughing because you're coming to sell stew to us. This is our stew that you're coming to sell to us, and we have people who are actually crazy enough to come and buy it from you. Okay, all right, and so that's a problem. We don't want to compete with locals, and as he says, they're endangering the employment of young youth, African youth. We don't want to be people who are coming back and colonizing in another form, okay? And so what I am calling our repatriation footprint, we really need to be careful that we're not leaving a negative one or a bad one, okay? And so I think we want to be different. We want to make sure that our people, because they are our people, know that we're not there to put them out of business. If anything, we're there to employ. If you want to get into this type of business, because I used to always tell people, and I still do, that I'm going to be selling tomatoes. You can do that. You can do that. Just there's always a way to do something without competing with the locals, okay? And so that I'll go into with Patreon and those who are members of our website. The types of businesses that you can get into that are similar to these, okay? A better way to do it are things that you can do where you can employ locals and not compete with them, okay? You don't want to bring in food from South America, mangoes from South America, to compete with African mangoes, okay? If you want to get into, I'll just give you an example. If you want to get into food, find a niche that you can do in that same industry that does not compete with the locals, okay? And then secondly, you don't want to, that's one, you don't want to import foreign goods that's going to compete with the locals, and you don't want to be in the market doing things that, really we should leave for locals to do, or people who, what we consider a little bit of money for startup may be a great amount of money to start up for them. We don't want to compete with them and steal their daily bread, okay? So we want to leave a good repatriation footprint, and we really need to be conscious of the types of business that we start and not come over and form some other type of economic colonization, okay? So if you have any questions, like I stated, I'll be going into more, and then we'll be bringing in people who are experts, because I'm not an expert in imports and exports, who will be speaking with us, but we'll do that in the future on Patreon, okay? All right, so y'all bless you all, and have a wonderful day. Shalom.